Hello everyone and welcome to Nervous Nessie. Whenever I travel, I love taking public transportation. It's better for the environment. It's a very inexpensive way of getting around a city, and you meet a lot of great people while you're on public transportation. This can include buses and trains. Today, I am going to share with you 10 tips for taking public transportation. This applies to both buses and trains. So let's get into it. The first tip is to wait for everyone to get off of the bus or train before you try to get on. I know you're in a hurry trying to get somewhere, but number one, it's considered rude to try and push your way onto the bus or train before everyone gets off. Number two, it's unsafe, especially if someone's trying to get off and maybe they have a wheelchair or a walker, or they have children that they're trying to safely get off of the bus or train. It's just a terrible idea to try and get on board before everyone gets off. And when it comes to buses, usually, not all the time, but usually, the buses will pull up and you get on and off at the front of the bus. Now, sometimes if it is one of the bigger buses where it's two buses put together, sometimes they will have where you enter at the front, but have doors in the back and middle where you can get off of the bus. But not all of them are like that. It's always best to err on the side of entering and exiting at the front. The second tip is to have your money or your public transportation card ready to go in your hand before you get to the bus or the train. You don't want to be at the bus stop digging into your wallet trying to get your money or your public transportation card out, because you're out in the open and someone could easily try to run by and grab your wallet. Same thing at the train station. People are constantly coming and going at train stations. And so if you are out with your wallet and you're focusing, you're not paying attention to anyone around you, it is very easy for someone to run by, grab the wallet out of your hand, and they're gone. They're lost in the crowd, or they timed it perfectly to where they could grab it and jump onto a train and take off, and your wallet's completely gone. So have exact change if possible, or at least have your money out in your hand. I usually have it either in my hand, folded up, not waving it around, or I will have it easy in my pocket where I can quickly grab it out and put the money in, or I buy a public transportation card. And just know that if you lose that card, that's lost money. So you don't want to have that waving around either. The third item is to download apps. Depending on the city that you're in, a lot of times the city will have an app that is for the trains or buses or both. And it's always a good idea to research and find out what app that particular city uses and download it onto your phone. This will give you information like departure times, arrival times, the routes, or if any of the routes have had any kind of changes. Sometimes routes close down, or maybe they close early. It's always a good idea to download the apps and check the apps before you try and take a train or a bus. Whether you have an app on your phone of the public transportation, or you have looked on your maps on your phone to see the route, you want to take a screenshot of the route. That way you can be familiar with the streets as they're passing and can know when your stop is coming up. Same thing with the train. You can be familiar with the stops along the way, and that way you know, oh, in 2 more stops, my stop is coming up. I need to be gathering up my belongings so that I can exit the train. This is really good idea if you are taking a subway. Subways don't always give you phone reception. So taking a screenshot of the route, you'll have access to the path the whole time you're on the subway. The 5th tip has to do with public transportation cards. Whenever I travel, I will purchase a public transportation card for that particular city. But it doesn't always work. So my tip is to also keep cash with you. I have gone to different cities and for whatever reason, the public transportation card doesn't work. Whether you're having to swipe it or tap it, it just doesn't work. And if you don't have cash with you, you can't ride. So always have a couple of dollars of cash with you just in case the public transportation card does not work. The 6th tip is to arrive early, but be prepared to wait. Public transportation is not 100% reliable. It will arrive early, it will arrive late. You have no control over the public transportation. But it's always a good idea to arrive to your stop in plenty of time. I usually get to the bus stop or the train stop 10 minutes early. Sometimes that's a little excessive, but I at least get there 5 minutes before whenever the bus or train is supposed to arrive. Now, yes, that does mean that if I'm taking a bus, I may be standing out in the rain, but I prepare for that. Or I'm on the platform with a bunch of other people waiting on the train to arrive for 5 to 10 minutes, but at least I know I won't miss the train. And in some cities, depending on the day or time, the next train, should you miss the first one, could be 20 or 30 minutes later, and then you're waiting even longer. So it's always a good idea to get to the bus stop or train stop in plenty of time. Now for this number 7 tip, I don't want to scare anyone, but it's always a good idea to be hyper vigilant and watch your belongings whenever you're taking public transportation. Tourists have a tendency to be out, looking at all of their surroundings, taking pictures, talking with the people they're traveling with, and not paying attention. And if you're not paying attention, then you could be a victim of theft or worse. So it's always a good idea to be hyper vigilant about your surroundings and watch your belongings. This could be your wallet, your purse, a souvenir bag. Also, children, watch your children. I've seen so many times I get onto a bus or a train and the kids, no one's watching their own children, and I'm thinking, this is a perfect opportunity for someone to do something really bad. But watch your belongings. The world is not perfect, so keep an eye out. The number 8 tip kind of goes along with number 7. And that is to be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, you want to watch your own belongings, but you also want to be aware of your surroundings. The world has gotten a lot scarier in the last several years, and you are in public. They call it public transportation for a reason. So be aware of your surroundings in case something happens. One tip that I give everyone whenever they are traveling into a big city and they're taking public transportation: have earphones in, but don't have them on. I lived in a big city where I would take the subway quite frequently. And a lot of times, whenever I got on the subway, there were some not so savory people that would get onto the train with me at the same time. And I noticed that if I was just sitting there, sometimes they would try and come up and talk to me, maybe ask me for money, or they would try and sell something to me, or just give off a not so great vibe to make me feel unsafe. But I learned that if I put in headphones and I make it very easy to see I have headphones in, then I could keep those people at bay. They didn't want to try and come up and talk to me and ask for money or try to sell me anything if they saw I had the headphones on, because I can ignore them. But the great thing is I didn't have anything on in the headphones. No music, no talk radio, nothing. I just had them in, but I could hear everything going on around me. That is a great way to still be aware of your surroundings and deter people from coming up to you. The number 9 tip is to plan alternate routes just in case the first route doesn't work. So if you haven't downloaded the apps, or if there's not an app available to tell you when your bus or train is supposed to be there, but you get to the bus stop or train stop and realize that that particular bus or train is not working, now you have to figure out a different route. It's always a good idea to plan an alternate route beforehand. That way you're not wasting time trying to look up a new route. And the final tip is probably the most important, and that is to not be afraid to ask for assistance. Whether it is a local person, or maybe it's someone that works on the bus or train or in the train station, then ask for assistance. Maybe you need help in planning your route. Maybe you need help in purchasing a transportation card. Or maybe you just don't know where to go. Bus stations and train stations can be pretty big, and there's a lot of people, there's announcements, it's crazy. Just ask for assistance. Go up to a local shop owner within the station, or maybe you see someone wearing a uniform, and ask them. There's been times that I have started to get onto a bus and I was unsure of if I got on the right bus, because sometimes buses go one way on one side of the road and the other way on the other side of the road. And I wanted to make sure when I start to get onto the bus, I ask the bus driver, does this bus take me to this stop? And if they say yes, I know I've got on the right bus. Otherwise, I need to run across the street. But don't be afraid to ask for assistance. If you are unsure of how to get the bus to stop when you're on the bus, ask somebody sitting around you. How do I let the bus driver know that my stop is coming up? People are very friendly. If you are friendly and you smile and you ask for help, people will help you. If you've never taken public transportation before, I highly recommend it. And I know it can be a little overwhelming and a little scary, getting worried you may end up somewhere that you don't want to be, but I promise you it is very rewarding. At the very least, it saves a lot of money. So hopefully these tips today can help you feel more confident when it comes to taking public transportation. If you have any tips on public transportation, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I would love to read what all of you say. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Bye!